There are rich teams and there are poor teams. Then there's 50 feet of crap. And then there's us.
That's $1, man.
What?
Welcome to Oakland.
I need more money.
We're not New York. Find players with the money that we do have.
I like Perez.
Got an ugly girlfriend. Ugly girlfriend means no confidence.
You guys are talking the same old nonsense like we're looking for Fabio. We got to think differently.
Who's Fabio?
Your goal shouldn't be to buy players. Your goal should be to buy wins. And in order to buy wins, you need to buy runs.
Who are you?
I'm Peter Brand.
First job in baseball?
It's my first job anywhere.
We're gonna shake things up. Why don't you walk me through the board?
I believe there's a championship team that we could afford because everyone else undervalues them, like an island of misfit toys.
We want you at first base.
I've only ever played catcher.
It's not that hard, Scott. Tell him, Wash.
It's incredibly hard.
He can't throw.
But what can he do?
You want me to speak?
We're not pointing you yet.
He gets on base.
We are card counters at the blackjack table. We're gonna turn the odds on the casino. I'm heading in. Text me the play-by-play.
Wait, what?
I don't watch the games.
Billy Beane has tried to reinvent a system that's been working for years. It was a nice theory, just not working out.
How long is Billy Beane gonna last?
He's proven himself right out of a job.
In their minds, it's threatening the game. It's threatening the way that they do things.
Hey, Daddy, do you think you'll lose your job?
What? Where did you hear that?
Well, I go on the internet sometimes.
Don't go on the internet. Watch TV or talk to people.
You're discounting what scouts have done for 150 years?
What the hell am I doing?
What is happening in Oakland?
It defies everything we know about baseball.
Just plain crazy.
If we win with this team, we'll change the game. This better work. I'm just kidding you.
Welcome to Dorking Out. My name is Sonia Mansfield, and how can you not be romantic about baseball? Joining me is my podcasting sister from another mister, and the co-host of Dorking Out, Margot D. Hello, my friend.
Oh no, my boob popped out. I'm sorry. That's from Selling the OC. We'll talk about that later. I couldn't find a quote.
That's also like a League of Their Own situation. It's like, and then, oops, my bosom falls out. What, you think there's people in the stands who haven't seen your bosoms?
You also have to work with Madonna's brilliant delivery. Oh no, what if, oops, one of my bosoms falls out?
We're not talking about League of Their Own. We're going to do 2001's Moneyball. It's directed by
2010s.
Huh?
2010.
Is it? I said it's 2011.
You said 2001.
Did I? Oh.
You did.
Oh, sorry, everybody. 2011. 2011. I know. I'm like, you scared me there for a second. I was like, oh, no. Because I remember seeing this in the theater. I was very, very pregnant. It was like the last movie I saw before I had my kid. So I was like, I'm pretty sure it was 2011. Or maybe I've been misremembering Calvin's birthday all this time.
When he's really 10 years older, I didn't realize it.
Oops.
Why is my 27-year-old still in high school?
It's so weird.
It's like Groundhog Day here.
Sorry, everybody. It's directed by Bennett.
We're already off the rails.
It's fine. Screenplay by Steven Zillion. I think, sure. Aaron Sorkin. Based on the book Moneyball, The Art of Winning an Unfair Game by Michael Lewis. And it stars Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill, Philip Seymour Hoffman. We got a young baby, Chris Pratt, in here. Robin Wright is in a small role. My friend, I just said I saw this in the theater when I was very pregnant. Did you see this in the theater?
I didn't see this in the theater, but we did an episode for Book versus Movie on it. So I've read the book and I've seen the movie a bunch of times.
And is this one of those cases where the movie is way better than the book?
Absolutely. Some people love that book.
Yeah.
But it's very, very dry. Michael Lewis is the author, and he like follows people around and gets these stories. And it's just like the movie. It's a lot of statistics. It's a lot of all that. But in the movie, it's presented in such an entertaining way. And I think Bennett Miller, isn't he Val in, God damn it. It's the Robin Williams, it's Robin Williams, We Are Family.
Is he from
Nathan
Birdcage?
Lane, Birdcage. Sorry.
Is he? I
think he is.
I don't know. Oh, this is just showing him as a director, the little stuff I'm looking at. Or maybe, are you thinking of, no? I think you're thinking of Dan Futterman, which is like one
That's exactly whom I'm thinking of.
That's
Never
one of
mind.
his,
I just wasted everybody's
No,
time.
you're fine. We are off the rail. No, they are like writing partners, so that's
what it is.
Yeah. And Bennett Miller, I guess, is like he went to school with Philip Seymour Hoffman, and that's why we got Philip Seymour Hoffman in here in a small role. He directed Capote as well.
That's where it's from.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did not read the book. I could see why maybe it would be a really dry book, because this movie does something really fascinating, which is most movies about baseball are about like the heart of baseball and like the human nature of baseball and like finding this like amazing part of yourself that hits a home run and baseball. It's like very human. And this one is really about like stats and math, and it's very hard to make that interesting. And I think it does a really good job of doing those things. And it has like just enough of that heart of baseball, just enough of the human element to like ground it a little and still have that, like, there's a, skip to the end. There's a scene where like Chris Pratt hits a home run, and it's like, that wasn't supposed to happen. So like the heart is like the outlier in this movie, and the rest is all about like stats and math. And I think it's super interesting because it's one of the things I like about baseball is it's also kind of a numbers game.
It's also, I think it makes me much more empathetic towards the players.
Yeah.
How little control they kind of have over their lives.
Yeah.
Like, most of us at this point in our lives have been laid off at some point. Either it's due to cutbacks or whatever, performance, whatever. Like most of us have been through that. But then be like, okay, call this guy. You're going to be in Cleveland for like the next 6 months.
Yeah,
and that's what you have to do.
Yeah, and they could be married with kids and all kind. And it's
in
like
school,
yeah, and it's like you got to move.
And you're just there for the numbers. I mean, okay. So my question, you're going to have to do some heavy lifting because you're this, baseball way better than I do. And also you're an A's fan, or you're a Bay Area baseball fan.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in what you think, like how they present it, the A's and Billy Beane and what's happened since then.
Yeah. Let me give people a little bit of overview of the movie and what it's like currently, because there's a whole bunch of shenanigans going on with the Oakland A's here. So the book is about the 2002 Oakland A's. So Billy Beane is their general manager, and here's the deal. The Oakland A's were and still are notoriously fucking cheap. They are so cheap. I looked it up, and so the Mets and the Yankees have like the biggest payroll now.
Yeah.
The A's are last out of like 32 teams or however many teams there are, I forget. So they have like $300 million or something, the Mets, and the A's have like 60. Which is still a shit ton of money, but like.
But when you have to, that's for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm originally from New York, and people always bitch about the Yankees because like, well, they got the bank, and I'm like, yeah, I could see that's like not fair. That seems like really, you're at a disadvantage.
So one of the things about being an A's fan is you could never like buy a jersey with a player's name on it because that player is going to be traded 5 seconds later. You can't get attached to anybody. And there is this feeling that the A's team is, they say it in the movie, they feel like they're organ donors for like more expensive teams. Like they bring up these players, they bring them to the big game, they train them, and then the Yankees is like, thanks for the players, chumps, joink, and like just take them and put them on their team. So there is that feeling. That feeling still exists. I grew up a Bay Area baseball fan, so I root for the A's and I root for the Giants. People here fucking hate that, by the way. They hate it. They lose their mind. They're like, you can't do that. And I was like, but I'm doing it. But I am in the chair, Blanche. Like, I am doing it.
Blanche. The chair.
I'm like, I'm doing it. I'm rooting for both. And people literally get red-faced and angry when I say that I do this. And I'm like, but it's more baseball for me. I don't give a fuck if you like it or not, but that's what I do. The A's are currently, they're in the process of leaving. Like they wanted Oakland to buy them a fancy new ballpark, and Oakland was not going to do that. And Vegas was like, we will buy you whatever you want. So the A's are in the process of leaving. So I'm like slowly breaking up with the A's. I'm like, not.
I went to college in the Bay Area, and when like all the teams were really doing well, and it's the Oakland A's with the Bash brothers, and Dennis Eckersley, and I mean just such, when they have like a good group of people, but like you said, they get good and then they get traded. You can't get too attached to people, and I love that baseball theater. I love Oakland Stadium. I think it's just janky enough for me that it feels like a day at the ballpark.
Yeah, a lot of people hate the A's ballpark. I'm not one of those people.
Yeah, it's old-fashioned to me.
Yes. So a little bit more history for y'all.
Please.
So the Giants ballpark here in San Francisco, they got in like 2001, I want to say. It's fancy. It's nice. Like, it's got a beautiful view of the bay. It's a beautiful place to see a game. It also has all the bells and whistles, all the fancy food. If you don't even want to watch the game, there's other shit to do at the ballpark other than watch the game, which is not my favorite thing, but that's fine. Whatever. It's a scene to go to the Giants game. Even when they're losing, the ballpark is packed. The A's, you are only there for the ball game. There are no bells and whistles. There's nothing around the ballpark for you to do. You're there to see the game and that's it. There's no restaurants or bars or anything like that, even in the neighborhood. You have to like get in your car and go somewhere else. So they're frustrated.
If you take the BART, it's a long schlep to get there. But I don't know. I always kind of liked it. Like I said, they don't tell you when to clap. They don't tell you when to do things. It's just really down and dirty.
Yes.
And I feel bad because I know people who grew up there and they just are so sad about it. But
yeah, and the A's had a run. So in the 70s, so they've won the World Series 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. 9 times. They've won 9 times. And in the 70s, they won 3 times in the 70s, and they had a huge run. And then in the 80s, you had the Bash brothers and like Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco, all of that. And they were insanely popular. And they just haven't had that kind of run. And they still don't really get that kind of run. And that's one of the things about this movie that is also very different. Because there is no World Series here.
Right.
Like, that does not happen for them. And this whole movie is about... So Brad Pitt is playing Billy Bean. Lucky Billy Bean for getting Brad Pitt to play him in a movie. Like,
he had to have been grinning from ear to ear when he heard that. Yeah.
Yes. This is like...
He's good in the movie. I have to say it.
Yeah, he's very good in the movie. And Jonah Hill's really great too. Everybody's really good in it. Brad Pitt is so good. And he is the general manager of this team, and he is trying to put a competitive team together with no money. So he's asking for more money, and the owner of the team is like, sorry, like, you are going to have to work within the budget. Like, They say they're a small market team, which I don't think Oakland is a small market team. But
that's the Bay Area, y'all.
Yeah.
Please.
I will also admit, we are spoiled rotten in the Bay Area when it comes to sports, because we have the A's, we have the Giants, we have the San Jose Sharks. If you're into hockey, the Warriors are here. Like, we have the 49ers. Oh yeah, and the 49ers. Like, it's an embarrassment of riches here for sports. So I would never argue that that Oakland A's are a small market team. But anyway, that's what they say. So he's trying to build a winning team with less. He goes to, I forget, the Red Sox or something, and he is trying to make some trades. And while he's there, he meets Jonah Hill. And he doesn't understand who he is. So he's asking him over and over, like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Peter Brand. And he's all, yeah, but who are you? Like, why are they listening to you? And he explains that he is using something called sabermetrics to analyze all the players in the MLB. And he's using that to decide lineups or deciding who to recruit for their teams. That it's a numbers game. It's, in order to win the game, you need to get on base, and in order, and that's how you get the runs. So it's not trying to pick up like 10 players who are all awesome at everything. It's trying to get, I think they have 26 players on a roster actually. So it's about getting 26 players who complement each other and can get on base, and then you get runs, and that's how you win. So it's like finding players that you can afford and leaning into their superpowers and winning games. And I think this is fascinating. As someone who works in management, I am also kind of obsessed with people's superpowers and like pushing things forward. So from like a manager perspective, I was really dorking out yesterday, like texting my boss, like, you should watch Moneyball. Like, but so that's what this movie is about. And it's a movie about baseball and math, and it makes it really, really interesting and how they go about doing it. And Philip Seymour Hoffman is the manager who doesn't give a shit about their math and he's trying like the old fashioned way to win games. He's not using their system. So he's still trying to just play the best players he can, not thinking about their system. And so they're not winning games and the system isn't working. And there's a lot. Finally, Billy Beane gets really pissed off and he starts trading like all these people to like, to make him play.
What's it?
Yeah.
Damon? What's his name?
The player he trades. Well, the big one that he trades is Miguel Tejada, who was like, they're like, he's going to be an all-star. Like, and he was, and they trade him anyway.
No, but who's am I thinking of? Johnny Damon? Is that his name?
Yeah.
He's on Below Deck all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he's such a drinker and a partier.
Yeah,
and like when he shows up, they're all like, "Oh God," because he's a handful.
That's hilarious. That is so funny. Well, a lot of these ball players, they make a lot of money and they kind of don't know what to do with their money, so they go on Below Deck.
It's so funny to think about. Like we were talking, the natural. And that like players used to make no money. They had to have 2 or 3 jobs in the off season, and it's like flipped around. Like now they make a decent chunk of change, but it's also like, how do you spend that money? How do you save for the future? I think like Bill Romanowski just had to file for bankruptcy. Like, yeah. I mean, like, and he owes like $15 million in taxes or something. Like, it's just, it's. I don't know, like what kind of, they don't get any kind of help with how to manage it.
And
they're in such high stress jobs.
Yes, they're in a high stress job with a small window.
Right. So, and then you're done. And then it's like, well, how do you fill your time?
Exactly.
If you don't go into broadcasting, it's, they used to have like they'd open bars or car selling places or whatever. Like they used to do that, but some of them can retire on it, but they just like, if they're Damon, man, they just go on yachts and act like the fool. But it's amusing, I will say that.
Yes. So it's all about they're playing their numbers game, and there's a lot of like making phone calls and trading people, and Jonah Hill looking at computer screens. I think Jonah Hill is really good in this. I think this is one of the first movies I saw Jonah Hill in that wasn't like a Judd Apatow movie. And I was like, oh, he's really good. Like, I don't think Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah, Wolf of Wall Street hadn't come out. Like, he got an Oscar nomination for this one. This is one of those movies where I was like, oh, he's more than just like the kid from Superbad to me. Like, and Brad Pitt was already Brad Pitt by 2011. And again,
I love the Brad
so
Pittism
handsome.
of he looks great. And I love his thing is that his characters always eat like as much as they can. When he always has a sandwich.
Yes, he's always eating
in his movies. I was like, we should talk about Ocean's 11 one day because that's like the king.
11.
I do too. So one day, but anyway, So tell me in this movie. So in this movie, there's a whole thing about they win the most amount of games a team has ever won in Major League Baseball.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. 20. They go on a 20-game winning streak. And
that's amazing.
Yes, and it wasn't, that was a record, and then it was broken in 2022 by Cleveland. It was broken by Cleveland. I went and looked it up because I had to know. And there is nothing more fun than when your team is on a winning streak. Like,
I love the way it makes everybody, like everyone's wearing the shirt, the t-shirts and the hats, and you're kind of smiling at each other. Like even in New York, we do that too. Yeah.
Yeah. The Giants had a good run here. It was like 2010 through 2012, 2014. Yeah. They won the World Series, and like, there's a whole thing with the Giants that it's torture to watch them play. Like it's like fucking tied game. It goes to like 18 innings and shit. They fucking drag the shit out, and then they finally win by like a run at the end. And everyone in the Bay Area is wearing their gear. Like you could, like everywhere you go, people are like, "Go Giants, go Giants!" Like these things bring people together. That's again why I say like San Francisco is like, it's an embarrassment of riches here. Like we have so many teams, and so many of these teams do really well, and they're in playoffs all the time, and it brings people together. It gives you something to talk about with total strangers. Like,
with like Real Housewives.
Yes, it is.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah, no, people, we've talked about this before. People shit on people who watch Real Housewives. And I was like, you watch football, so you can just shut up now. Like, please have a seat, sir. Like,
or wrestling or whatever you're into.
Whatever you're into.
Right. And I enjoy the aspect of like going to the park and having hot dogs and beer. And
yes, it's really fun to go to a game. But when your team is on a winning streak, like it's really fucking exciting, and it pulls everybody in, and everyone gets wrapped up in the story. And on top of just the winning streak, baseball players in particular are really superstitious. So they start like, they have to like do these things or they're not going to keep winning. And like Billy Bean is one of those, he's superstitious. So he has a whole thing about he doesn't watch the games. He like listens a little bit on the radio, but he doesn't watch the games while they're happening. And so they're in the movie, they're in the middle of they're playing their game for the 20th win. And they had an 11-0 lead in like the 5th inning. And he's like, at the urging of his daughter, who's adorable, she's adorable, he goes to watch the game. And the minute he shows up and starts watching, they start fucking it up. They're like dropping the ball, like striking out, making all these errors. And he's like, and he like runs away and stops watching, and he's hiding, and they give up an 11-run lead. They're tied. It's like, I can't even express to you how frustrating it is when you're watching your team fucking blow it.
I know, like there was a time, I think it was the A's were in the World Series against the Dodgers, and there's a Kirk Gibson home run that's always played like how magnificent this is. Like this, and that home run fucking wrecks me. Every time I see that, I remember how upset I was when it happened.
Yeah. And so, and then the big thing in the movie is Chris Pratt's character, who was a catcher, and his body just like his arm is so fucked up that he can't play catcher anymore. So they're like, but you always get on base, so we're going to teach you to play first. And I love the scene where they recruit Chris Pratt, and like Billy Bean's like, playing first is not that hard, and the other coach is like, it's very hard. like it's
a desired spot, right?
It is.
Like it
is. And I believe first is one of those bases that they put, like, usually players that play first are big hitters. Like, it's a hard place. Every position is hard, actually. Like, but
right.
So they're training him at first, but his thing is he's not a home run hitter. He hits singles or doubles. He walks a lot, and so for him in that 20th game to like hit the home run that makes them win the game reminds you that stats will only get you so far in baseball.
Yeah. So my question is like, so all of a sudden other people started trying to use the system. They must have, right?
Yes.
Does it make the game more boring now because it's more about stats?
I don't think so. Well, and not only are more teams using this, and they talk about this at the end, the Red Sox start using it, and they ended up winning the World Series like 2 years later.
And that's a beautiful ballpark, by the way.
Fenway is like chef's kiss. It's like one of the like best ballpark. Like, it's famous for a reason. Like, everybody loves Fenway, and it's also old, isn't it?
It's super old.
Yeah. But then on top of, so there is that. I don't think it's boring. It's become more like chess, I think, where it's like, oh, they're pulling that pitcher and they're putting in a right-hander now. So there's a lot more like moving people around to, they're thinking more strategically, or maybe it's even more obvious what they're doing, I guess. So I don't think that's uninteresting. I think it's super interesting. And it's one of the things I actually like about the game is, this is a left-handed batter, and this pitcher isn't usually good at left-handed batters. So they're going to pull him, and they're going to bring in, somebody else and put him in there and see what happens. And I get all wrapped into the drama. So I like that stuff. What was like, and then of course we talked about this on What a Creep. The Houston Astros have their whole way of how they like to win. Cheaters.
Yes. That was such an interesting episode. We had a listener email us or something, or said on the Facebook page. She's like, I listen to your show when I'm cleaning the kitchen. And she said her husband walked into the kitchen and she took her earbuds out and said, hey, do you know about the Houston Astros? And so they talked for like 10 minutes, and he went back in. Like, my wife just talked about baseball with me. Like,
you're welcome.
You're welcome, sir.
Yeah. Well, and one of the reasons I like baseball is because it's something that like my dad is really into, and now my mom is super into, and my brother is really into. So it's like something I can talk about with my family.
Yeah.
That's not politics, and we don't usually end up fighting. Well, unless we're fighting about like who's not a good pitcher or something. And I'm like, gentlemen, please.
Or a belly itcher?
Yeah, that's exactly what I say to them, Marco. I'm like, gentlemen, please, we can both agree that he's a belly itcher. You're hilarious. But this is just such an entertaining movie about the inner workings of baseball that we don't normally see. It's normally Major League, right? Or even Bull Durham gives you a little bit of a little bit of the backstage baseball in the AAA league.
It's the shenanigans of the players. That's what we're used to.
Yes.
It's like, who cares about the suits? right?
Yes.
It's like and so this flips it on that. Like they have like Dave Justice, like the people I've heard of, Damon, Johnny Damon, or whatever the hell he is. But yeah, I mean, it's people I've heard of that I was interested. I thought I don't know what it is with this movie because I'm not sure I understand everything that's happening, but I think it's so well done and it's so well cast, and it's an interesting mixture of, you could tell like they used real people that work in baseball. And sometimes that doesn't work, and especially, the actors always are actorly about things, and real people can be stiff a little bit, but it totally works here. And Philip Seymour Hoffman, it always makes me sad.
I know.
He's always good.
Yeah.
And Robin Wright is like, thankless job of like the nice ex-wife.
Yes. And the husband in that movie, in playing her new husband, is Spike Jonze. I did not know this until this screening, and I was like, "Oh, holy shit! That's Spike Jonze, the director."
He might be a baseball.
Yeah, maybe he's a baseball guy.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
I just love the stuff with Brad Pitt and his daughter. Like, he's trying to be a really good dad. He takes like the whole thing where he takes her to like buy a guitar, and he gets her to sing, and I just thought it's so sweet. It's
their relationship is really sweet. Yeah.
And I don't know, in the book, do they talk about Billy Bean a lot in the book?
I really put that book out of my mind.
Okay.
It was such torture for me to get through it. And there's always something else I have to read. And so it's just like a thing in my brain, like a USB drive. I just pop it out. I just remember it being dry. It's just very, very dry. And the movie, as much as it seems like it's very kind of almost sterile, I want to say, like it's just about stats.
Yeah.
And it's just, like nobody really yells too much. Nobody really, it's pretty even paced, like even tempered the whole time. But it's still interesting, and it still has some heart to it. And it's still, I feel the pressure that these people are under. Like it seems like, this is a dream job. You get to be you get to be a scout, and you get to do this. Like, no, if you don't win enough, you could lose your job and try to find another one in your 40s, 50s, and you have to uproot your life, and there's a lot of money involved, and there's just egos.
You have a very specific skill set. And if you can't get a job with another team doing what you're doing, one of the scouts says, like, you're going to be working as a general manager at the Dick's Sporting Goods or whatever, like that's probably a very real thing that they worry about.
The woman that plays the reporter that's kind of obnoxious.
Yes.
I used to be friends with her. She was based in New York, and she was in Inside Edition. I used to pitch her stories a lot. So I've met her a bunch of times. Like, she's gorgeous. But there's also this thing going around where, I don't know if it's baseball or basketball, but there's this athlete, and there's a woman trying to interview him in the locker room. And he's like, "Do you subscribe to my podcast?" And she's like, "No." He goes, "Well, I say to my podcast, so I'm not going to answer your question." And she's trying to then turn up her mic to just hear his answers to the other questions. And he puts his hand in front of her. He's like, "No, ma'am, you have to leave. You have to subscribe to my podcast." I know.
Oh my God.
I know. It's so ludicrous. And it's like, you got to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Like, you could injure yourself just driving home and then not have a career. Like, you better, like, at some point, have some clarity, put your ego aside. But there's so much money at stake, and there's so much ego at stake, and there's so much just unknown that you have no control over.
Yes.
And then you're playing outside, most of them. So it's like you have to deal with the weather. It's a whole bunch of stuff. So I have a lot of respect for it. I also, like, when I'm really into a game, I can't watch it.
Yeah.
Like, I have to, I've done that. I'm that dork that's like in the other room.
No, I totally get that. And I've been the person when the Giants were on their winning streaks on their way to the World Series, I also got very superstitious. So like I had like certain beer that I was drinking because I was like, well, one time they won and I wasn't drinking the Anchor Steam Porter. I was drinking a Sierra Nevada tumbler. So therefore I can't drink the tumbler while I watch the games. It has to be the porter Like, I was very, very into baseball.
I've worn a jersey, you know, and then like if they lost, I'm like, I can't wear that jersey. I got to wear something else now. I know. You get like that because this is the thing with sports. Once the game begins, it's a whole new ball game. Anything can happen. The worst team can do really great that day. You know, that's what's interesting about it. So that's why we get upset when people are cheating and things like that, because it's supposed to be a place like you have absolutely no idea how it's going to turn out.
Yeah.
You know, the best team can just do dog shit that day.
You never know.
Don't know. You never know. That's what's fun about it.
Yeah. When the Giants won in 2010, they were absolutely not one of those teams that was supposed to win. Like, everyone was like, they were basically major league. Like, all the people on the team, they were like, who are these people? Who are these people?
Who are these people? We'll talk about Jerry Seinfeld later.
Yeah. Oh, also, I got it wrong earlier. It wasn't Miguel Tejada. He was on the team. I was mixing him up with Carlos Pena, so I apologize.
I was going to say something, Sonia. God damn it.
And they traded him to the Tigers. My bad.
Ooh.
But I hadn't seen this movie since I saw it in the theater. I've seen parts of it, but not the whole thing. So to rewatch it this time, I again was just super in love with it. I love that it doesn't end in a World Series game. It's just an elimination game to go to the playoffs, and they actually win that game because of, you know, the home run or whatever, but then they actually lose in the next round, and they don't go on to the World Series. I don't think they've been in the World Series since
It's
then.
been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
I went to one of their elimination games. I didn't know it was going to be an elimination game. This was a couple years ago, and it was my birthday, and very rarely is there, if your team is not in the playoffs, very rarely is your team still playing in October. But the A's happened to have a game on October 2nd, which is my birthday. So my friend Corso and I, you know Corso, went to the game, and it turned out to be one of those elimination games. And it was during the day, like a fucking Thursday or something. It was packed. And people lost their goddamn minds, and they actually won that game and went to the playoffs. And like, everyone was like, I can't believe you were at that game. And I was like, total coincidence. Like, I just happened to be like, it's my birthday, I'm going to take the day off. Oh, they just happened to be playing, I'm going to go. And then it turned into this big thing. And it was so cool.
I was there when Ricky Henderson had the stolen base record.
See, that's amazing.
And it was just me and my dad going that day. And then Ricky Henderson gave the most self-congratulatory speech you've ever heard in your life. It's among the most hilarious things.
I want to thank me
for being so amazing and incredible, and that you're all here to watch me be me. It was fucking hilarious.
Oh, so funny. I love it. Dudes, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? But that's also a part of it. Like, you just don't know.
But also, you have this amazing memory of going to the game.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or, you know, Matt Cain here, a pitcher of the San Francisco Giants, pitched a perfect game that, like, and, you know, I wasn't at the game. I was watching it here, but, like, the city went fucking nuts when that was happening. And, like, every restaurant had it on and every bar had it on. It was very cool. Like, sports are exciting.
It's fun. Don't be afraid of it.
Yeah, don't be afraid.
But so it's not your thing. It's not your thing. It's a very entertaining movie, and it's kind of looking at it from a different lens, because usually it's about fathers and sons. There's a bit of the, he could have been a ball player. He took the money instead of going to Stanford. So, and that is very poignant to me. Like, he says, like, I don't want to make a decision just based on money, because I've been that way too. Yeah. And it's like, you want to make the right decision.
Yeah. And it's interesting because he is someone who he was scouted. So there's actually this really great scene where, like, it's shown to us that he was scouted, that, like, a scout came to his house and told him, like, he has all the things, like, he's going to be an amazing superstar. And he passes up on this scholarship to go in. And then when he's talking to Jonah Hill, he's like, would you have drafted me in the first round? And he says, no, I would have drafted you in the ninth. And this is like, he's interested in this because the stats told a different story about what his, maybe told a more accurate picture of what his career was or was going to be than being scouted. And I think that's part of why he's so interested in that.
Well, he could have had a Stanford education. He could have, and that is like the road you didn't take.
Yes.
And you zigged when you should have zagged, but then what are you going to do? In life, you're not going to always get it right. But you got to do the best you can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
we're getting philosophical.
We are. Well, it's hard not to get romantic about baseball.
Good call.
Yeah. And again, such a good cast. Brad Pitt was nominated for an Oscar. Jonah Hill was nominated for an Oscar. It was nominated for Best Picture, adapted screenplay, and important stuff like sound mixing and film editing. And, and then you get to see Philip Seymour Hoffman too.
Come on.
Yeah, right? Come on.
Come on, people.
So it's a good one. And it's streaming on Netflix, I believe.
Netflix right now. Yep. It's on Netflix.
So you already pay for Netflix, so you should just go watch it. It's really, really good. Would you like to hear about we have never done 2011 movies. So
stop. Really?
Yeah. So we can do the top 10 movies of 2011.
Let's do it, Sonia.
All right. Number 10, Thor. I like
Is
Thor.
that the funny one?
Thor was the first one.
No, then I don't know that one.
Yeah, I like Thor. I thought it was all right. It was better than I thought it was going to be when I saw it. Sherlock, A Game of Shadows. Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, the one with Robert Downey Jr. and Jude Law. I didn't see that one because
I think I liked it fine.
I had a new baby by the time that came out, so I didn't get to go to the movies.
Excuse. We might do that for book versus movie. We just have to figure out which book that comes from. But I think I liked it at the time. It's one of those Guy Ritchie movies, so that's a crapshoot.
You know what it is? I remember seeing the first one, and I was like, well, this is very entertaining, but it's not a Sherlock Holmes movie. I was like, that's how I felt about it. And then I didn't see the second one. Speaking of second ones that I didn't see, Cars 2.
Didn't see the first one either. Sorry, I don't have kids. So
I didn't see the first one until I had a kid, and the first one it's very cute. The second one, I got 15 minutes in, and even my kid was like, no thanks. So we have never. He's watched the third one. He won't watch the second one. He has no interest. Number 7, Mission Impossible: Ghost Protocol.
I like the Mission Impossible movies.
Me
Tom Cruise
too.
Is a weirdo, but I really like those movies.
He is a couch jumping weirdo, but those Mission Impossible movies are dope.
They're dynamite, man.
Number 6 is Fast 5.
It's one of those Fast and Furious movies. Yeah, I like them fine.
People really like that one in particular. I've never seen it, so I can't speak to that one. I've seen some of I saw the first one. Actually, I saw the first 3. And then I saw one more near the end, and I was like, that's enough of that. But that's fine. People love them. Number 5, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides.
No.
I saw the first one.
Yeah, that's the same thing. Yeah.
I'm like, and that's fine for me. Number 4, The Hangover Part 2.
Not good.
I thought the first one was funny.
Yeah, at the time.
Oh my God, so many sequels now that I'm looking at this. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. 3, Twilight, Breaking Dawn, Part 1.
Those movies are so fucking stupid. I'm sorry. They just... Have
you covered any of these for book versus movie?
No, I can't ask Margaret to read these things.
Okay, I have not. The
books are not great. I didn't like the book. Personally, I didn't really like the book. So I thought the first movie was enjoyable, but the protagonist, Kristen Stewart, is just so infuriating and passive.
Yes.
And I can't get into that.
I saw the first one and I was like, this isn't for me. And I remember at the time making fun of people like, oh, enjoy your Twilight. But now I'm like, you do you. There's a whole generation that grew up watching these Twilight movies and they love them. And I'm like, that makes me so happy for you. Enjoy your Twilight movies. Like, we all have our...
I'm indifferent.
Yeah, we all have our movies, right? Like, I don't know what ours are. Maybe Star Wars.
It has to be.
Right? We all have our movies. Number 2, Transformers Dark of the Moon.
Never seen it.
I've never seen a Transformer movie.
No interest.
Nope. And then number 1, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2.
I like the Harry Potter movies.
Me too. I've been rewatching them with my kid, and we got 3 more to go, so we haven't got to the Deathly Hallows yet, but I was just watching part 2, the end of it, with a friend of mine a couple weeks ago, and it's really good. It's really good. And sad.
It ends, I think it's sad, but yeah, I really enjoy those movies. They get better and better as they go along. Yeah. So was that number 1?
That was number 1.
So these are the top 10 songs the week this came out in 2011. Rihanna, Cheers, drink to that.
I love Rihanna.
I love Rihanna. Jinx. Number 9, Lil Wayne, How to Love.
I don't know this song.
There's a lot of these I don't know. Lady Gaga, You and I.
Okay, I know Lady Gaga songs, so I bet if I heard it, I would be like, oh yeah, that one.
Number 7, Nicki Minaj, Super Bass.
Okay, I know that one.
Number 6, Dario Hart's, that's Gym Class Heroes, featuring Adam Levine. I have no fucking clue.
No idea what you just said.
I know, it's a word salad. Number 5, Bad Meets Evil, featuring Bruno Mars, Lighters. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying there.
Do you know what? I was pregnant this year, so I'm gonna say that I just was really out of it and can't remember any. I don't know any of the songs you're talking about right now.
Number 4, I know this one. Party Rock Anthem, Ella Beth AO, and Goon Rock and Lauren Bennett. I like that one.
Okay, I know that one because it was in commercials.
Yeah, I know. I love this song, Foster the People, Pumped Up Kicks.
Okay. I know one. Yay.
You'll know this one. Number 2, Adele, Someone Like You.
Oh, I love all of Adele's songs.
And I actually really like the song. It's Maroon 5, number 1, Moves Like Jagger.
That song is really fun.
I love that song. That's a good song. Yeah.
He's such a fucking creep, but
he's an asshole. I wouldn't marry the guy.
No, but they make really
catchy tunes.
They write really catchy, pop hits.
They bop.
They bop, exactly. What else are you dorking out about, my friend?
Well, first of all, I saw Immaculate.
And?
I loved it.
Yeah, right?
Because you recommended it.
Oh, I'm so glad you liked it.
I love me a killer nun story. That's that scratches an itch for me. Maybe on behalf of my parents,
and this
who are
one's
both terrified of nuns.
This one sticks the landing.
It does.
I thought it was way better than I thought it was going to be. I was into it.
I saw The Idea of You.
Me too.
What'd you think?
I thought it was enjoyable.
Same.
Yeah, there is a thing where they break them up a few too many times for my taste. I don't want to spoil anything for people, but I was like, that's too many times. They need to stop doing that. But Anne Hathaway is beautiful. She's gorgeous. Yeah, there is a whole. I was like, they're acting like she's some granny. I was like, she is not a granny. He's 24, she's 40. There is an age gap there, but also she's a grown woman and he's of age, and I don't know, her daughter's
more than of age.
Yeah, he's 24.
It's not like he's 18. It's like she's. It's not like Jerry Seinfeld doing a high school senior when he was 39.
Right. And her daughter's 16, and I actually felt like there's just some things with the daughter where I was like, they could have played this a little different, which is again, fine. Like, I think it's really enjoyable. I thought they had great chemistry. I liked it. And there is a scene where they're just having sandwiches and talking that I thought was, I found myself strangely moved, but I suspect like it's because maybe I've lived what she's talking about a little bit. But yeah, she's really good in it. I really like Anne Hathaway, and we should talk about one of her movies soon. That would be fun.
That would be fun. So Paramount has Behind the Music coming back.
Oh, shit.
And they did one about Wolfgang Van Halen, who has a band, and they just have his mother, Valerie Bertinelli, is one of the talking heads. And when Eddie Van Halen died, and it was the day after my brother died, so I'm always kind of have them kind of connected in my head. I knew he had cancer. I knew he had like part of his tongue taken out. He was a very heavy smoker, heavy drinker. He partied very, very hard. I didn't realize like how much damage he had done to his body. And the way they talk about it is so heartbreaking. I mean, Wolfgang is only like, I mean, he's 30. I mean, he's a grown man, but at the same time, like that's still very young to. And then you find out that he started touring with his dad when he was 16. Yeah. And part of the reason he did it, not just because, and it turns out he could play everything. This guy's a really talented musician.
Yeah, I listened to Valerie Bertinelli's book Enough Already, and she talks about her son and Eddie Van Halen a lot in the books. And
well, that's the one she did before, right? She did it a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it came out a couple of years ago.
So it's interesting because since then she's gotten divorced. Yeah. She's found a new boyfriend who's really cute. That she's happy with. But she's saying that, she was saying that when Eddie died, she acted like his widow, and he really had a widow. Like he was married to someone at the time. And she says, now I realize like somebody who drinks, who cheats on you, who uses drugs, like that's not your soulmate because you're not being loved. And so I think she's just really in love with someone for the first time that's like got their own thing going. And so I think that's part of her sort of journey. But he's talking about like part of the reason he started touring with his dad was to keep an eye on him, to help him. I know, which is such a lot of pressure to put on.
And by the way, super normal for like a child who grows up with a parent who has an addiction.
You want to take care of them.
Yeah.
And it's also he says this over and over again, like he never was loved by anybody like he was by his father. Like his father just idolized him and so like, so it's like, it's so complex, those feelings and those, like, it's a lot to kind of manage. And anyway, I thought it was really good, but it's sad as shit. I mean, he had like a full on stroke and like half of his brain was just not working. Jesus. I know. Like he really did a number on himself. So
stuff is fucking scary. Also, fuck cancer.
And fuck cancer. That's what Valerie Bertinelli says, by the way. Fuck cancer.
She gets it.
She gets it. HBO The Jinx, the second episode was much better than the first. Yeah, I liked it. Kathy Griffin, Life on the D-List is on Peacock.
The old episodes?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. And some of them are really funny. Like it is such a time capsule of like, the show was on the air from like 2008 to 2012 or something. Yeah. Like it's like this movie. It's like, it's such a time, like it's so weird and different and specific.
Yes.
Anyway, but I just enjoyed it. I'm also, I saw Hacks. They have the first
I'm
two
so
episodes.
happy it's back.
I just love that show.
I love it. I love it so much. And I love where it's going. And I laughed out loud a couple of times in those episodes.
Same.
I was like, Gene Smart is a fucking treasure. Like it's so good. I really enjoyed it.
And then selling the OC, which I just had on for a goof today. It's like, oh my God, these people that are so manicured and beautiful, but dumb. Like just.
Yeah, I haven't watched that one. I've watched Selling Sunset, which is maybe I should be watching Selling OC, but I've decided to go back and start Vanderpump Rules from the beginning. So I'm busy.
Oh, wow.
I love wasting time.
That's it for me.
That's a good list. I'm glad that you stuck with the Jinx, because that first episode we were both like yawn, but the second one was really interesting, where they were revisiting all the people that Robert Durst has like been calling since he's been in jail. Well, he's passed away since then, but it's Bob.
Those twins.
But just and there's like legal wonder twins. It's such a weird.
It's so interesting. Yeah.
There's so many stories in here, but one of them is this like friend of his that was like a dirty country artist, and it was like "Cum Stains on My Pillow" is like one of his songs, and I was like, oh, gross, grow up. And then he's like, well, what do you do when one of your best friends kills your other best friend? I'm like, you fucking testify against him is what you do. You don't protect him.
And he's like, well, murder doesn't really bother me as much as other people.
What
it was a very
fucking
odd
weirdo.
statement. Yes, yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, newsflash, Durst is going to attract weirdos into his orbit.
Yeah, surprise. Are you still watching Sugar?
No, is it good?
Okay, here's the thing.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but there's a big twist in this, like, I think it's the 6th episode that just aired, and I was like, oh, I see. And now I'm like, what the fuck are we doing? But I don't want to ruin it for people, so you need to, if you decide to watch it, let me know. But
okay.
Yeah. There was I didn't see that coming. Maybe everyone sees this coming and I did not see it coming. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that's what the show was. It reminds me of when you watched, when I watched Severance. Like, I was very confused by Severance, and then Severance kind of turned into something else. And this one is like that too. And they're both on Apple, so maybe this is their jam. It's something they do. I guess everything that's on your list is on my list, but the only other one is I saw The Fall Guy in the theater.
Oh, yeah, what'd you think?
Which is the new Ryan Gosling movie, and Emily Blunt. It's so fun. It is really fun. Like, the stunts are really great. Ryan Gosling is like, I mean, he's so likable. Like, how could you not like him? I don't understand people that don't like him. And like,
who are these people?
Who are these people? Like, the stunts are so great. It's really funny. Like, I laughed out loud a couple of times, which doesn't always happen when I see a comedy in a theater. Like, I think that him and Emily Blunt have great chemistry. There's a couple other people in the movie. Hannah Waddingham from Ted Lasso is in it, and she's playing like a super like movie studio exec person named Gail. She's probably based on like a Shelley, what's her name? Shirley Lansing or something. There is Aaron Taylor Johnson is playing kind of like a Tom Cruise type. Stephanie Hsu from Everything Everywhere All at Once is in it. There is a dog in it. If you're ready for a movie with another dog that's just killing it with a great performance, there's a dog in it, y'all. It's really fun, and it's you didn't have to watch the old Fall Guy show with Lee Majors to understand anything that's going on in this movie. It has nothing to do with any of that other than he does stunts.
Do they use the theme from that?
They do at the end.
Oh, I love that theme. Yeah. That was a good one.
It's really, really fun. And Ryan Gosling is just cut in this movie. Like, he's so strong. Just like his arms, and he's just so naturally funny when he wants to be. And he's really, really great. Emily Blunt has done something to her face. And, and I find that a little distracting, but not enough to ruin the movie for me. And they do have really great chemistry, and she's really fun in the movie. So I give it 2 thumbs up. It's a thrill ride of the summer.
Awesome.
And then the other thing, what else did I watch? There was something else. No, I think that was it. Never mind. That's the only thing. You said you wanted to say something about Jerry Seinfeld.
Oh, just that I didn't watch Unfrosted, and I don't plan to, because fuck this guy going on Saturday Night Live last night.
Oh, I didn't see this.
So he goes and to talk about how I've just done too many interviews lately.
Then don't do them, dude.
Yeah, you're just an old man yelling at the wind. I don't. And yeah, I used to love Seinfeld, but
yeah,
his whole thing about like this guy who's like the most vanilla, safe performer, still funny, but he's not an edgy performer.
He was
just, like, totally
Jerry
taking that
Seinfeld
mantle. It's like, come
was
on.
never edgy. And then for him to be like, woke culture's ruining sitcoms. And I'm like, bitch, please. Like,
and it's like he was in a thing, it was like 10 years ago or something. He was on this comedy panel, and it was Chris Rock and Louis C.K.
Right.
and Ricky Gervais.
Yes.
And the N-word was brought up, and they're all cracking each other up using it. And he's like, yeah, I don't think we're supposed to use that. And very, not being scolding, but
yeah,
just like, no.
no, I'm not laughing at that, and I'm not doing that.
Right. And now, like, that would make him woke. He doesn't realize that. Like, I don't know what people think the word is, but anyway, fuck him. I'm not watching it.
Yeah.
I like the other people in it, but no.
I didn't read any good reviews on it, so I was like, hard pass.
Yeah.
It looked a little too try hard for me. So, no thank you. I did watch, actually, here's something I forgot to put on my list. I watched the David Letterman interview with John Mulaney on Netflix, and it's really good. Like,
how does Mulaney come across?
Really well, as someone who's like, first of all, David Letterman, like, he clearly really cares about what is going to happen to John Mulaney. I don't know if like he relates to John Mulaney a lot or what, but he's very curious about his addiction. He asks very honest questions, and John Mulaney is very honest back with him. At one point, David Letterman goes to dinner with John Mulaney and his dad, and you could tell Letterman is visibly moved by having dinner with them and how open they are with him. And Letterman talking about his own like son and wanting to be a good dad. And I was like, I was not expecting this.
He's like, Letterman was such a like angry white guy, kind of like nothing was good enough for him. Like he put it off like, I put all this pressure on myself to be the best, and so when I don't hit that, but then it's like you found out he's sleeping with all his assistants, and anyway, like he's just some creepy interviews with women, and I feel like Howard Stern, like he's sort of matured and he's having more of he's more reflective in these years, and realizing like his son's important. Like how you treat people is important. And I think he's so much smarter than the average bear. And I think he's finally using that intelligence. Like he's smarter than like a Leno or Jimmy Fallon. Like he has more smarts about him. Yeah.
And the interview is really, really interesting. It's still funny, even though it's very heartfelt, and they're talking about some they're talking about serious shit in here.
Does he talk about his, cheating on his wife or leaving his wife or?
Coincidentally, that is never brought up. It is all about his addiction.
Yeah. See,
so there is let's just pretend that part didn't happen. And they talk about John Mulaney now having a kid as well, but they don't talk about before times.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to assume that a lot of people chalk up to, well, he was in the throes of addiction and making bad choices and blah, 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 which, sure, I guess. But yeah, there's a little check mark next to his name for me, for sure. But I also think John Mulaney is really, really funny.
I've seen him live. He's one of the funniest performers.
Yeah.
Like just somebody who knows his material in and out, and the way he tells a joke, the way he presents it is so amazing. And he's totally hilarious.
Yeah, and his the most recent special, Baby J, was again, talking about his addiction and everything is very, very funny. And a lot of comedians mine that stuff for their humor. Richard Pryor used to do it. George Carlin used to do it. Like, it's not uncommon for really good comedians to dig deep and bring humor out of that and connect with their audience. So I'm glad that John Mulaney's doing that. I hope he makes good romantic choices from now on, because I would hate to hate him again.
No, well, he's still with Olivia Munn.
Yeah,
right?
and she was recently diagnosed with breast cancer, so I'm trying to have a lot of
been through it.
Yeah, I'm trying to have a lot of empathy here, but yeah. So it is really good. It's not very long, and it's on Netflix. So there's also a whole bunch of other like comedy Netflix things on there, but I haven't watched them yet. With John Mulaney, it's like everything's in LA, and they're like a whole bunch of comedy specials with people, and some of them were live. I don't know what's going on there. I don't go to Netflix for live TV, so I was very confused.
I don't need it for live TV. If I want to watch live TV, I'll go to live TV.
Yeah, it was very strange. I was like, I'm trying to watch Moneyball. Could you not show me this weird live comedy special? Like, I'm here for Moneyball.
Came here for the Moneyball.
I came here for the Moneyball, Netflix. Thank you very much. And then I'm off to Peacock to watch Vanderpump Rules. Thank you very much. Anyway, thanks for talking about Moneyball with me, my friend. Oh, before I forget, we also co-host another podcast called What a Creep, where we talk about creeps of the past and the present. And our most recent episode is also about baseball.
Eddie Waitkus, he was the inspiration for the movie The Natural, and it was about the true crime. He was stalked by a fan, and it's a creepy baseball tale. And then we have Hunter Pence.
Yes, Hunter Pence from the San Francisco Giants is our non-creep.
Yes.
Yeah. So definitely, if you want to hear more baseball talk, do that. Listen to our show. My friend, where can people find you?
You can find me at Brooklyn Fit Chick. That's my site. That's where I am for Threads and Instagram. And then I'm at Brooklyn Margot on TikTok and on Twitter.
And if you want to give us a review, by the way, be greatly appreciative, and we'll give you a shout out on the show. You can email us at dorkingoutshow@gmail.com. Send us your requests. We love requests. Subscribe, like and subscribe at all the places. You can find me at thesoniashow.com and The Sonia Show on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the things, wherever you are. I'm there too, like a stalker. Thanks for talking about Moneyball.
Oh, thank you. This was a lot of fun.
It was so fun. Play ball!